Hey, welcome back. Fino here with a commentary on the Leonidas challenge quest. I've decided to go for a whale strat and just use Berserker Musashi. Now, the thing about using arts loopers pre-Castoria is that charge is a hard thing to come by, especially for your first NP, and if you take too long, you're going to get worn down, especially in this fight. So what I opted to do was do a degenerate thing of running like I think I ran like every 5-star like big ticket support except like Rhaenys, which, you know, whatever. Doesn't have her buff yet. And as you can see, I have equipped Scotty with Gura Gura Poster Girl because I needed to get 50% charge from somewhere. You know, the woes of using Tamamo. As you're going to see, Musashi's going to make very quick work of the various enemies, although the drawback is that because she's a Berserker and because of this event's mechanics, or because of this fight's mechanics, she's pretty much always one hit away from losing her guts. Thankfully, Excel Turn alleviates that to a fair degree, because it has a very short cooldown, and with Tamamo's help, it's even shorter. So that actually ends up buying me a lot of time in this fight. And thank fuck for that, because the thing with Leonidas is that he has a colossal damage resistance buff. Actually, I'm not sure if it's a defense buff. I think it actually is a defense buff in this fight, because defense ignoring NPs actually do a lot of damage to him. Okay, apparently it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But yeah, that said, to remove his stacks, you have to kill the other Spartans. Well, you know, quote-unquote Spartans. They're very clearly Romans. But, you know. Despite the prevalence of Greeks in fake Grand Order, never occurred to them to make a hoplite sprite. But that aside, Musashi has the convenience of being able to brawl through the various grunts, even the fairly high health ones. Again, one of the perks of using a 5-star servant. Especially that 5-star servant. Getting relatively good face cards as well. Managed to recharge her to a full NP. Lost the buffs, but that's not super important early on. In the first couple of turns of the fight, Leonidas' defense buffs are high enough to where it's not really worth attacking him. And thanks to the event CE, Jeweled Princess, Musashi has more than enough damage to actually kill the grunts. Now, this wasn't my first plan for doing this video. Originally, my intention was actually to use Jason, and in fact I got him to 999 just for the occasion, but I ran into a few problems. Well, first of all, I had no foes to spare. Like, there's a set in the shop, but I don't want to get that yet because that's like my oh shit. I need this for like the actual new Guildfest fights. So my 0-0 Jason went into this fight, and in my first attempt, he had like, getting charged onto him was an absolute motherfucker. I could not get an art stream to save my life. And of course, starting with Tamamo doesn't really help me in that front. That's where I settled on using Waver and Scotty to actually get 100% charge. But I ran into some other problems with the Jason run, which is that, well, first of all, he has like no health to spare, so if he eats a crit, he's just dead. Second of all, my damage amounts weren't quite good enough. It was hard to keep buffs stacked on him because of the charge situation. And like this, like enemies like this 200k health, like Saber, I could not get clean kills on them. Even someone like the 30k enemies, I think, were a little sketchy. But yeah, there were a lot of near misses, and if I had foes, I might have been able to do those, but in the end, I decided it was too much of a pain. By the way, the servant who stole those foes from Jason, Diarmid. Lancer Diarmid, greatest investment I've made in this goddamn game. But that aside, this fight, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of this fight. A lot of it just revolves around the grunt enemies getting stacking buffs if you leave them alive too long. And that constrains your pickable servants a fair bit. In general, you just want sabers that ignore defense, so you can finish off Leonidas quickly. And if you try to go with like a super value attacker, it's doable. The problem is you're at the mercy of crit RNG. Because if the random grunt crits you, it's over. Like, they will start bad touching your casters, and at that point, it's a little hard to stabilize. Honestly, this is a whale clear. Very clearly a whale clear. I thought about doing the Okita run again, but, I already have footage of that. It's a known thing. But for those of you not familiar, Okita Soji just shits on this fight super hard. I think you don't even need to kill 10 enemies to actually, finish off Leonidas with her. Because Okita's NP, A, it ignores defense, and B, it applies a defense down. So you can artificially get Leonidas to a kill threshold, long before mechanically you're supposed to be able to. So yeah, if you're having trouble with this fight, just borrow an Okita Soji with the damage CE. And with a little bit of testing, kill the first few enemies and then start unloading on Leonidas, you should be able to do it without too much trouble. This though, it's like a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, in terms of me wanting to do something different, and me wanting to flex, because, again, I wasted money on this NP5 servant. Bet your ass I'm going to show it off. It's like me doing a house tour, except instead of a house tour, it's me showing PNGs. But yes, now we're on bar 2. What even is Leonidas' break bar mechanic? Hold on. I don't think I've been in a position where it was actually ever relevant for what I'm doing. I think it gives them charge or something, because it didn't actually do anything on the turn that I popped him. Either way, Leonidas himself is a small threat. His grunts are the real threat, although if he gets, his NP off, he can actually crit you down. I had that happen to my Merlin in one run. But, if you want to do this fight quote-unquote legit, the idea is that you have to kill both ads by hook or by crook each turn. You probably want a Saber to do it, although Berserkers can work, as you see. Failing this, I was going to try a Kintoki run. And I know Kintoki can do it. The only problem is he has, nothing in the way of defenses. You'd have to be way more aggressive in screening for him. Musashi, though, doing an excellent job cleaning up. By the way, it occurred to me that I may have said in the guide that buff cleanses health. I'm sorry, debuff cleanses health. But it occurred to me, those are box debuffs. So you can't actually cleanse those off. So apologies to anyone who, yeah, had to deal with that. Yeah, that's me checking right there, oh shit. That's right, they are box debuffs. Bit of a risky turn. I don't think I have any protection available to me. One turn away from Merlin's, and Excel turn, I believe, is off cooldown. Also no Musashi cards. Yeah, one of the reasons why you really want an AoE attacker usually, unless you're doing Okita, is that Leonidas, A, he has a taunt, just a regular taunt that he will spam, and B, his NP taunt, which, taunts for multiple turns. Because of this, it's actually very hard to finish off low health enemies, or even get at low health enemies. That's one of the big problems I had with the Jason run, which is that, Jason was not generating enough charge quickly enough. And he wasn't doing enough damage to the grunts when I could attack them. Again, if you haven't grailed and foed, it might be doable. For my situation, though, it wasn't really working out, so I gave up on that. Unfortunately, a lot of the really fun tools that you could use in this fight aren't out yet. I looked at Ibuki Doji, I think Muramasa could do it. There are a bunch of cool sabers with defense ignoring properties, but a lot of the really fun ones, they're in the future. It's a real shame too. Would have loved to have taken Ibuki for a test run. At this point, I'm debating whether it's actually feasible for me to finish off Leonidas from this health. He's actually quite stubborn. but Musashi is able to deal quite a bit of damage to him. Also, I found out that the deeper you get into this fight, like the more trash mobs you kill, the more aggressive their debuffs become. We saw the defense debuffs, but there is also like attack debuffs and skill seal debuffs. Like if you're trying to fully complete this fight like via attrition, I can imagine it getting extremely messy. That and of course you're at the mercy of crit RNG, even if you do have like a stable setup. Yeah, so my recommendation, try to finish the fight. Yeah, if at all possible, I try to finish it before you hit like 280 enemies. Like, I think between 290, 280, that's like the sweet spot. Above 290, unless you're running like a really high-end attacker, it's a little hard to actually finish off Leonidas on account of his stacks. Ah, here. I realized that I could go for a killing blow. So I swap in Mesh, who... to troll my viewers, I have her set to Orton X, like, only in the cards. She's actually Galahad Mesh everywhere else. So I'm able to get another NP off. Best Musashi form, by the way. The Italian one is good too, but you know what? Two things I love, baby. Murica and English. Three, actually. Gunblades. Gunblades are cool. As you can see, not quite enough to finish off Leonidas, but he is critically low at this point. This is actually one of the fights where I kind of wish I had, like, another damage. See, like, okay, listen. Cursed as it might sound, I would have loved to use some of my spare grudge matches here. Unfortunately, grudge match not this year's CE. Musashi, though, does not get the kill. A part of that is because of that huge attack down debuff that I got from killing that one enemy. It is actually a huge debuff. Way bigger than I expected. And as you're gonna see, it actually stops me from double tapping Leonidas here. Oh, yeah. Not even triple digits on those hits. So I'm thinking, okay. Alright, that was pretty weird. But I'm in too deep. Don't really have any levers I could play with, so I decide, you know what? Yeah, let's just go to town. I think I do use Garden of Avalon here as like a backup insurance policy. But it's not necessary. I will deal enough damage this turn. But yeah, that's the fight. So again, the lesson to learn here, just use Okita. Just use a friend's Okita. It'll save you a lot of money and a lot of trouble. Also, don't faux Deermut. Life lessons. Anyway, that said, I hope you found this commentary useful. I'll try to get these out a little faster. I'm actually behind schedule right now. YouTube was a little weird in the processing department yesterday, so I ended up wasting a lot of time. But yeah, that said, I'll see you around. By the way, streaming today, 3 PM Pacific time. I'll be rolling for Gilgamesh. Well, really, it's round and round, but you know, close enough. Anyway, see you there.